Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Hello to everyone from the Warsaw studio. Here is Małgosia Grys on behalf of the Strong Women in IT First, which is, of course, against any rules. Let me apologize for being 2 minutes late. This was because of some technical issues of one of our guests, but now I hope everything is working super well. You hear me very well. And with no further ado, I have a huge honor. I'm super happy to introduce three remarkable speakers, the respected leaders working globally and also very close to the strong women in IT. So here with me, one by one, my lady Stambuł, Paulina Skrzypińska and Maciej Wilczyński at our second this year webinar of Strong Women in IT, Scaling Your Business with a magic question, does sense of purpose matter? I hope you will enjoy the energy, emotions, engagement, and huge experience of all of our guests today. My lady Stambuł, she is very close to us, one of our strong women in IT, recognized a couple of years ago. My lady is keeping the role of the regional director for Microsoft Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa. And she's one of the women voice in the IT and tech industry, being also very active as the member of the Hellenic board in Greece. Welcome, my lady. Wonderful to have you with us. Kalispera.
Thank you for the invitation, Małgosia. It's always a pleasure to join Strong Women in IT.
Paulina Skrzypińska, the Chief Innovation Officer of BNP Paribas in Poland, one of the co-creators and founders of Endeavor Poland. Welcome, Paulina. She's been with us for a long time, super supportive, connecting the dots between the banking business, the technology, innovation, and also being a strong women voice in the business context. Hello, welcome. Dzień dobry.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you, hear you, and hope you will enjoy this time with us today.
Maciek Wilczyński, the co-founder and managing partner of Value Ships. Maciej is bringing many years of his consultancy and advisory experience from McKinsey, while a few years ago, he decided to take his entrepreneurship spirit and put it into the motion, creating Value Ships, which is a boutique consultancy company focusing on pricing and technology with knowledge management as one of the cores as well. Welcome, Maciej. You should also know that my lady and Paulina know it very well. We never excluded men from shaping fairer and better worlds as strong women in IT. Maciej is one of these men who are really bringing equality into the economy environment, business environment, and technology environment. And he shaped his 30 people company for the last couple of years, based almost on equality of women and men on boards. So even more, Maciek, happy to have you with us today.
Thanks a lot for the kind invitation and welcome, and I hope to provide some value for today's conversation. So thanks.
The question, which is naturally coming as the first one, what does it really mean for each and every of you to scale the business in the turbulent times? What does it really mean to deliver the value and go beyond the standard methods, living in these turbulent, unknown times? And I would start with my lady.
Indeed, Małgosia, we are living in turbulent and uncertain times, I would say. If we look around us, what is happening from a geopolitical perspective, from an economy perspective, we also just finished, hopefully, a healthcare crisis as well. So there are multiple crises, including the planet crisis as well. The climate crisis is also one aspect of on the business. So there are so many different challenges that today's businesses are facing. And for a business to be successful in these turbulent times, as you mentioned, it requires, of course, adaptability, it requires resilience, but it also requires constant reinvention. Okay, it requires innovation. What we learned about from the previous crisis, like the 2008 economic crisis, for example, is the companies who maintained their leading position were the ones who restructured, let's say, the capital in order to continue investing in innovation. So they did adjust, they did adapt, they stay resilient, but at the same time, they kept investing in innovation. So what does really scaling means in times like this? In the past, we were talking about scaling meaning doing more of what we do well. Okay, going into a new market with the same product, for example, winning new customers with the same approach. Okay, expanding with the same method. Okay, right now is really the concept of scaling a business changes in the sense that businesses are looking at what's possible. Okay, they are designing the future, thinking about what's possible. It's not just doing more of the same thing, it's about doing different things. It's about innovating. It's about rethinking even the way they deliver their services or their products to their customers. It's about creating new partnerships. It's about leveraging AI. I'm in the technology field. Sorry, I need to also focus what's happening here. The AI revolution is also helping a lot of businesses right now reinvent the way they serve their customers. So I do think that in these times, really, what we are looking is not just to scale a business, it's about to scale the opportunity ahead. And if I could give a bit of example from my company, which is a leader in that space, we also reinvented ourselves from a company who were selling software licenses to a company who is now an AI leader in the market. Okay, a company who is addressing all aspects of the business and society with AI solutions. So I think we reinvented ourselves in the last 10 years, and I think that's something that we need businesses also to think today. We need to challenge our own success formula. We need to create something new to capture the opportunity ahead.
Thanks, my lady. The thing which comes immediately is the reinvention, right? And this is what is really coming from you so loudly. So, Paulina, what's your view as the innovation officer for the big and impactful bank?
This is time of opportunities. Most of all, I would say, of course, a lot of challenges come, but those challenges that sprung innovation. So innovation is not, let's say, a way of thinking, a kind of mode, a kind of fashion. This is like a day-to-day activity that we need to do to survive as a business, to adapt to the changing world, to adapt to geopolitical ecosystem, to adapt to the customer needs. Because what used to change in years now change sometimes in days, meaning the decisions that impact the political decisions that impact how we do the business globally or locally, but also what is possible according to the technology. So this is the pace of changes that we've never seen before. This is both exciting, but this is challenging also for the sector that I am in. I used to work for startups, so from this side, I would say this is amazing opportunity to grow the business. But for enterprises, this is a challenge also for the timing. So we cannot do our endeavors, our projects, especially considering the IT side, in the tempo that we used to do that, because, well, otherwise we may lose the market, we may lose our position that we have today. So both, this is a time of excitement, This is a time of opportunities, but there is also a challenge to adapt those big companies, those enterprises to the world, which is changing so fast.
So from you, Paulina, the key word is really tempo, the adaptability, and how we really do it right to deliver what the customers want. Something which was valid in terms of technology innovation yesterday might not be valid tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say how to combine these two to go with the flow. So
But this
true.
is also a time to choose, because we
Yeah.
cannot continue with all of the decision, all of the products that we have. This is the time that we need to be able to decide what type of activities or projects, so call it, to stop, and when we should, let's say, refocus our activities just to keep the pace and keep the momentum going.
Thanks a lot. Maćku, what would you say as the entrepreneur
So,
about this?
sure. So I believe that scalability as a concept in generally, this means growth, right? This is like kind of like fundamental. Scalability is growth. It's essentially to increase things in size in time. So if we look at the fundamentals of growth, they didn't change. Like you always needed a fuel for growth. Like you need to burn calories to build muscles effectively. You need to sweat yourselves on the gym to build like certain endurance. You need to burn coal to fuel power plants and stuff. You know, for sometimes you need to replace the fuel. So this happened in, we moved from wood to coal, from coal to electricity to nuclear plants and so on. And so this is kind of like right now we are moving the fuel that pumped the business, right? Before we kind of had this that kind of digital transformation stuff, right? It was great. It was, it was a great buzzword back in the days. Now we have a new one, new revolution, which is AI. So probably the calorie intake that we're taking effectively in terms of fuel has changed. What also has changed is always needed time. Like now it's faster. Effectively, it's faster. It's like you don't need as much time to grow as before. It's not anymore that it takes a year or 2 or 3 years to do something. Now we can do it in weeks or days, right? And on the denominator side, you always had to remove bottlenecks. Now removing bottlenecks, again, kind of what you mentioned before, both Paulina and Melody mentioned, like right now you need to remove them faster. It's like you don't have time for waterfall meetings. You don't have time for basically crunching the reports anymore. Even like our consulting job has worked. No more slideware, pure content, pure work. Like this is gone. Even like the big consulting has changed in this way. Like you basically, it's kind of like there's this great word agile, right, that everyone remembers and mentions every time. It actually is agile, right? And finally, you always had to kind of apply constraint to the business, so to change the status quo and everything connected to it. And if you don't apply it, you kind of become irrelevant for the economy, right? And if you add on top of that, you kind of have this like, kind of like technological, geopolitical, economical multiplier that is kind of happening on the markets, kind of like this kind of random factor. And then we obviously live in the age of randomness, to be completely honest, and kind of chaotic. This definitely is your definition of turbulence, right? So as I said, like the overall equation didn't change. What has changed is the kind of variability of the components inside the engine, right? So the variance inside is actually changed, and it's create this kind of friction and buzz and chaos, right? So to navigate that is, I would even call this kind of webinar is like how to scale in the times of chaos. This is more or less where we're heading right now.
Still, we name it purposely. We rather avoid purposely this context of a chaos, as it seems that the turbulent context is more meaningful from all of the contexts that you brought. And what I hear from each and every of you coming from different angles, that you see the common context. First of all, as Maciek mentioned, the concept has not changed, but times have changed. Technology accelerated everything, which, Maciek, you are also right, the chaos might happen. Therefore, Paulina comes and she says, we need some focus, we need some priorities to make it happen. We need to let some things go. And my lady comes with the context of technology, which is putting like AI, changing the status quo completely for so many aspects. So in this world, and I'm now looking into Paulina and my lady, then I will capture Maciek's points. How to live with all of what you say? Does then the sense of purpose really matter still for the ones who are to be either the drivers or the participants of this growth? How do you think each of you is leading an army of people in the big context of the big player, but you work, each of you, on a daily basis with the smaller players. So what do you think, Paulina? Does the sense of purpose matter with all of this, or it doesn't matter anymore?
So for me, this is the key, actually, to have the sense of purpose, especially when when the world is changing so much. You need to have something what keeps you stable.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change your focus, what you do, how you do, and what you believe in that constant, because it would make the chaos, or both in your private life and your professional life, in the company you work for, or in the business you run. So the sense of purpose, this is the key, because this is like a Spain that governs us, that enables us to see, even in the turbulent times, what is at stake.
So
it's
Paulina says
for us
that
to navigate.
the only thing which helps you to feel safe in this crazy world, which is changing every second, is the sense of purpose, right? Did I get you right? My
Yes.
lady, what's your view?
I think the sense of purpose is fundamental. It's not a nice to have anymore. If I look at companies who scaled without purpose, for me, that's something I don't actually remember which company scaled without purpose. I think having a purpose that is very clearly articulated, and it goes beyond just growing your numbers. It goes to a direction that it leaves a footprint, a legacy behind, for the society, for the economy, okay, every company, for the user, the end user. It depends. I could give you examples of different companies who scaled with different sense of purpose. It gives also a compass. It gives a compass to us. It gives a compass that we can follow when you have to make tough decisions. When you have a sense of purpose, it's easier for you to make a decision, okay? And it's easier for you to attract talent when your company has a real, well articulated purpose. It's easier for you to get trust with your customers, or to build strong and long term partnerships if you have a sense of purpose. I could give you the example of Microsoft and how I deploy this in my day to day. Okay. So Microsoft purpose is like empower every organization and every person on the planet to achieve more. It's very inclusive. Okay. It doesn't say we want to get to trillions of valuation. It doesn't say about how many licenses we want to sell. It's an empowerment and inclusive purpose. Now, when I work with my team, trying to put this purpose to life, is I'm working with innovators across the region. Okay, I want all the innovators in Poland, for example, since all of you are Polish, to really capture this AI opportunity. We want to support these people to innovate, leveraging AI technology, and to scale their business with our support to really grow the economy in Poland and in the region. So this purpose really drives us when we make decisions, where we invest our time, where we invest money, where we make where we focus as well. Okay, so I think it's critical for a business to scale to have a well articulated reasoning behind, to have meaning in what we do, and it also gives our people, that meaning. The people who work for us having the meaning that they contribute to something bigger than just earning market share.
So before I shift to Maciej to hear his comments, I would like to ask you both a corresponding question. And it's not an easy question, but I know you both. I think you like not easy questions. What if the sense of purpose of your partners, of your ecosystem, is not the same as yours? How do you make sure that there is a win-win on both sides? They might have a different opinion. Their sense of purpose might not ideally fit to yours. So how is it, Paulina? How do you deal? I'm sure you deal with these situations. How does it work?
A lot, because if you do innovation, whatever the innovation is, you need to find a common ground, because at first many of people do not understand, do not share the purpose, do not share the idea of what you want to achieve. So the only thing is to try to find a common ground to navigate. So you cannot say, okay, if you do not understand, if you do not follow my purpose, then I'm out. Yes, it would be the easy part. But the real challenge is to take the responsibility to build like a container when both us, our business partner, our customers, whoever we call it, we may work together on achieving that purpose. Because only when it is shared, it can deliver real and measurable value. So this is absolutely what I believe. But of course, in times when you spend time or years working on the purpose and you're in the place that you're the only one man standing with the purpose, for sure, I would advise to reconsider finding a place, organization, or a business partner who would share it. Because not always, of course, this is possible.
So you say talk, be in the same container, put your energy and thoughts into it, and find the common ground. I love it. My lady.
I think in these times, chaotic times or turbulent times, you name it, nobody can succeed alone. Okay, I don't believe any company, no matter how big, how successful, how strong in their economics or in their products, can really succeed alone. So, our approach here is that we share the opportunity. We need to build shared value and share the growth. So, and that's why we don't just build an ecosystem just to build an ecosystem. We build an ecosystem that we could co-create together for this AI driven economy. Okay, creating together, innovating together, building together, and serving our customers together. And this is how we see that common ground, as Paulina said, because ecosystem success for us is our success. As I said, nobody can succeed alone.
As we say within our community, stronger together, right? And I think this is
Exactly,
what you
exactly.
exactly bring to the table. And
Yeah.
none of you says it's easy. You say it takes time, right? It needs some engagement, quite a lot on both sides, but it's worth doing this. Maciek, now your view as the business owner, the entrepreneur who is working with big customers, but you also are a part, your company is a part of the bigger ecosystems that two of our women leaders, Paulina and my lady, talk about. So how do you look at it as the business owner?
Like the struggles of generally like a small business are obviously much different than struggles of an enterprise company. Like this is obvious. Like we are beyond this point where we don't know where the next day, what the next day will be, right? As a company. But so I believe that still, smaller businesses, kind of in the mid-sized businesses, they are usually in a situation in which they are kind of like fighting on a day-to-day basis in the trenches, and then one day they find the purpose. And this is kind of like the usual kind of maturity evolution. It's like in adult life, like there's this kind of certain adolescence and maturity coming in, right? That you basically identify what you want to do in life, whether you want to become a fireman or like go to the college. And this is basically kind of like similarly the idea of small businesses. So
Maciek, may I please stop you for a while and ask you one question, listening carefully to what you just stated. Look back into the beginnings of your journey as the owner of Value Chips. I'm sure you recall these days. Did you create and found your sense of purpose immediately from day one, or you needed some time to make it happen?
Great question, and I feel prepared to actually answer this because literally 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we had about 3 weeks ago, we had our whole company town hall, in which I literally showed slides of the first, because I was back in the days, I was obviously ex McKinsey, a PhD in strategic management. I had to have a mission, of course. Like this is kind of like you need to have this kind of fundamental cornerstone of pillar of creation, so to say. And I had it, and my mission back in the days was something like, to create the lasting performance for like pricing and business performance. Very chat GPT, please generate mission of a professional services company, like stuff like this. Very generic, very there was a purpose in it because we knew where we're good at. We are good in this type of work. We knew we could do consulting work. We also our purpose was not work for we build something on our own. This was important, but it was time moves, 200 projects, 200 clients, over 70 pricing transformation done, 30 people on board, 40-50% year-to-year growth.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we come with a mission which essentially captures this kind of like algebra of good pricing equals strategic freedom. And this kind of like bang,
Mm-hmm.
this is it. Because we have realized with Chris, our partner and co-founder, we have realized that we built this company for the purpose of our own freedom, because we wanted to kind of be free of the kind of also corporate, so to say, chains, but also kind of financial independence, all this stuff that is important for you as an entrepreneur. And in fact, we wanted to give this part of the freedom to kind of the smaller companies. So in fact, the good pricing doesn't necessarily mean that you charge more for your customers, but effectively it is like you can increase salaries, you can pay dividends, you can reward yourself, you can reward your employees, you can eventually we even call it like pursue your vision without compromise, right? So with this in mind, I believe that we eventually, after like maybe not eventually, but after 3 years, we have identified where the vision and purpose of Value Ships is. After 3 years, after outstanding client work we have done, after getting great rewards from our customers, also financially, but also appraisal, case studies, testimonials, referrals. And after 3 years, you kind of identify, okay, so this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. And it comes with you in time. And therefore, I believe having a sense of purpose is fundamental, because growth for the sake of growth is the ideology of cancer cells. And I want to have this kind of sense of why I'm doing this, because otherwise,
may I consider, I never asked this question. I've known Maciek for a long time. We've been working together. I was his customer, by the way. So may I consider that your ecosystem, internal, your employees, but also and maybe especially external, the big companies you work with or you worked with, influenced your sense of purpose and mission as well, or it was rather your completely independent thoughts based on all of the experiences gathered?
While at the same time, I would like to say it was totally independent and coming directly from my heart. And also, I would love to say that obviously it was influenced by clients and our people. I would say it's effectively 50-50%. And you cannot,
It's
it's sorry, it's like averaging, right? It's not the answer of like left or right, but it kind of has to be, you know. It's so I believe that it was influenced, but it was influenced about internally. As I said, this was influenced by this kind of spark of kind of independence, freedom, and these things that were important for us. But from the client perspective, you know, there are dozens of stories in which we have seen what happened after. So let me give you an example of a company. I don't want to, I can give them the credit, but they have managed to run a successful strategic transformation. And when the crisis hit, in a sense that they were cut off from the data that they were using, and they were like literally ransomed by the provider of like paying, you know, pay 100,000 or 200 euros for the data access. And the competitor is calling them, hey guys, we are like closing the access. We can't afford this. And we are like, we have just paid because they had the money to do so, you know, like, so. And then they kind of moved with the business without, you know, no problem for us. We have the money, we have the profitability, we can afford it. So kind of building this kind of buffer, this buffer, this risk decrease. It was kind of fundamental for us. And hearing these stories is definitely something that fuels you. So I believe this is 50-50 split.
So I already know. Thanks, Maciek. I never thought I would really ask you this question, but this discussion is so valid. Now I would go to Paulina, asking, building on what we just heard from Maciek and all of your ecosystem, Paulina, that you see around. How does it really work? How does this real partnership look like between the big players and the smaller players? How do you shape it? What are the great scenarios, and what are the difficulties or the struggles you see on your way in your role in your everyday business?
I would say that it has become more turbulent. But this is not because of the small players or the bigger players. It's because of the, I would say, legislation challenges that we have or rules that we need to follow. So we've got more and more rules concerning, for example, cybersecurity or the cyber resilience, according to the context, which of course I do understand. But on the other hand, it makes almost impossible to make those smaller players, so smaller vendors, let's call them startups, to enter and work as a technology vendor for a bank in EU.
Yeah, this is the so much regulated arena, right?
And it's the concept that I try to figure out with many of the external partners, because as you saw, for example, in the reports like the Draghi report on the European competitiveness, this is not only the issue that we have, that we tackle in Poland, but this is issue that we have in the European Union. So there is a real scenario ahead of us that we will lose the pace, not because of the politics or different challenges that we have both with the climate crisis, but because we spend 70-80% of the time to follow the rules or to be up to the rules. Imagine what could have happened if we would spend this time to work with each other, to address the challenges, to find the solutions to those challenges. So I'm dreaming of that time coming, but I would lie to you if I would say that it becomes clearer or easier. It's not. I'm in this, let's say, ecosystem for at least 15 years, and it does not get easier at all.
So you say that if really at least part of these regulations disappear, this would make such a huge space for creativity, productivity discussions, invention, working together. I really hope that also the big decision makers of at least EU are listening to our podcasts. We know that we also have a few people in Brussels listening to us. We see it. So there is a very strong voice from the strong women in IT here with women and men connected with our community to deregulate. And by the way, we all know that already in some countries, including Poland as well, some deregulation practices started. So we probably all keep fingers crossed for having this time for the amazing value add time, as you stated. I love this, what you stated. Imagine what we could do if we offered this timing into productivity and creative, innovative discussions. My lady, how is it in your case? You lead such a huge region. You work with tons of partners across Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East, Africa. How does it really work in your case? What do you see nowadays in terms of these big ones and small ones, smaller ones, mid-sized ones working together?
I think the mindset is shifting. In the past, I was seeing a lot of competition, or let's say lack of appetite for collaboration, sort of a David versus Goliath mindset. Right now, it's becoming more about us winning together versus us against them. And I think in the technology space, there is an opportunity to work more together in view also of the AI evolution and the regulation with the AI Act that is now enforced across EU. I am not so optimistic that the regulations will go away. But I do believe building a partnership together, big players, smaller players, ecosystem players, it would help us share the risk of addressing that regulation and winning together. We have some great examples from the past and from today, where big companies and small companies work together. I would mention from COVID days, the Pfizer and BioNTech collaboration. That was a model collaboration, a startup having the innovation, having the formula for the vaccine, and then a very large player who could give them the scale and the ability to deliver the vaccine across the different countries around the world. Similar with AI, we partnered with OpenAI, bringing OpenAI to the enterprise space. I think there's so much opportunity to work together and address the challenges, including, I would say, the EU regulation on AI, which is now enforced, and of course, always regulatory environment follows the technology. Technology moves faster, but we have a responsibility to adhere to the regulation and making sure that our customers are also leveraging the benefits of the AI revolution, following also the rules of the EU. So I'm a bit more optimistic in tech space that the opportunity for collaborating and winning together is there.
My lady, sorry, I will follow what you said, because you said amazing thing, that we are responsible.
Yeah.
And this is not even being responsible in front of our regulators, but this is a matter of being responsible in front of our customers, who should also be sure who's calling. Yes.
Yeah.
In times when AI changes so much.
Happy to hear you talking again, one voice, even if coming from different angles. And I would add to this something which is really so much happening. Strong Women in IT have been shaped by or founded by Anita Kijanka, the founder CEO, like more than 6 years ago. For a few years, with the team of supporters, she's been doing this almost on her own. And look what happened. 2 years ago plus, we decided that one of the contexts to help us scale and go beyond is to invite the partners to our journey. And I really have got the goose skin talking to you. Because, by the way, Paulina, you know it by heart, BNP Paribas is one of our strategic partners. You are the people like you give us your experience, your knowledge. You help us shape a better world. Could we do it ourselves? Could we have 4.2 million of brand recognition last year if being without all of these amazing people and all of these amazing partnerships with the companies, the small one with the big one? No, we couldn't. We wouldn't do what we do right now. We wouldn't be so impactful, and we are still thinking big. So I am a huge believer, and also being for 11 years, it's not a secret, in Microsoft, I learned that what my lady stated, that being together for good and bad, even going through difficult disputes, discussions, but having this common ground, having this, I love what you stated, Paulina, this joint container which we enter and put all of the difficulties there and go out stronger, I think it's a really huge positive opportunity in front of us, even if there are difficulties on our journey. Maciek, the last thing on this one from your side, you know the big ones, you know the small ones, you are now the mid one. So how does it work for the entrepreneur like yours?
You're asking about the collaboration or the
Yes,
general
I'm
attitude
asking about
towards
the collaboration.
because like they're like two different things. Like the attitude and collaboration is separate, because like let's start from the attitude. It has never been harder to earn your first million, and it has never been easier to earn your next billion. In other words, we kind of have this kind of like the St. Matthew's effect of like richer gets richer, and this is kind of the thing that is happening. It's easier for the generally it's the word is better for the big tech than it's been for the smaller guys. This is just a fact, and we can we can say that this is bad or wrong or whatever, but these are just the facts. Like the big tech companies are effectively the most important entities in the world nowadays. And obviously, let me give you an example of AI. You basically cannot train the model on your own. Like just to train any basic model is effectively like $6 to $10 million. Probably a small business doesn't have this pocket money. Like I don't. Even though I'm kind of like moderately profitable, I don't think I can spare like $10 million for like building a new AI model. So this means that this kind of commercial capabilities are in the hands of the big tech, and this is where we come in as a small business owners. And like, so these are the rules of the game. You can basically win with commercial models. For instance, let's make this kind of on the AI example. So if I cannot win on this, where can I win? I can win on the UX layer, on the product layer, on the kind of understanding the problem of a customer, right? So if you have all this computation power, like all this cloud, Azure, for instance, right, that Microsoft relies on top of that, you kind of have on this layer, you have the model, which in fact is in this case is again open AI, right, and all these like NVIDIA GPUs running it. You can't compete in these two areas. So you're literally left with the third layer, which is kind of like the product layer, the subscription layer, the customer layer. And this is where you can actually bring more value. And then you can kind of start. And this is what is happening. Look at these like apps like Cursor, the app that literally changes the way you can build apps. You can, this kind of like vibe coding theme that you can start coding without actually knowing how to code. Take Lovable, the app that allows you to build the website from the scratch, just writing a prompt. Take Superhuman, the AI-enabled kind of email account that allows you to move faster with things, right? And if you take all this under consideration, so this is where we need to work with the big tech. So give us the infra, give us the cheap infra, so we can build good stuff. do your stuff, build on that, like train us how to work with the models, like build AI capabilities, effectively make the models better, take our data, like you have it anyway. So just but build the good stuff, build the good infrastructure, because the small ones will always be better in capturing the value of a customer in a better way. They will always be on the front line of talking to the customers, running the interviews. They are not. Paulina mentioned the regulations, so I kind of have this. I don't want to be this contrarian guy. I have a slightly different view on the regulations in terms of protecting the EU market, but still, like the big guys are kind of burdened by the regulation, and this is a fact. They, for instance, cannot just go talk to the customers. They need to hire an agency that will run the market research, provide them with the nice reports. It takes 3 to 6 months, while the small guys, the startup guys, simply pick the phone and just go do the field work. So this is the difference that is happening. So I believe that we need to work with. For instance, this is why I like Microsoft. I like Google in a sense. I comparing these two because they're existing in Poland. I believe is the most beneficial for the overall ecosystems. I think I do honestly believe in what they're doing.
Maciek, we shouldn't advertise so much because the others will blame me for allowing this.
I was just referring to where we can cooperate. I believe that basically I just believe that there are lot of So let me put it differently. I believe there are a lot of good initiatives from which smaller entrepreneurs can learn a lot. But I do believe this is where the collaboration with the big partners comes from, right? So this is kind of coming from the actual computing power.
Yeah. So let me capture the essence. You said so many super important things. You say the big ones build the huge block and enable us to use it, while the smaller ones. You give this super important advice to the entrepreneurs who are just starting, as you were starting more than 3 years ago. Find your layer, build your unique value proposition that could be so well complementary to the big ones, and show these big ones how they could, sorry for stating, use your amazing capability and engagement model to go to the market. Yeah, and that's the essence of this, and have the win-win, as both my lady and Paulina stated before. I think we should really continue this discussion during a round table. Hopefully my lady will come over to Poland, and we could really have a more serious discussion on this one, because I really find it super valuable.
And I agree, Malgosia. I agree with that. I see the value of such partnerships. Maciej's company might have the industry niche, okay? The very focus on a certain problem-solving capability for certain types of customers, which a large company who would be able to address larger markets, bigger customers worldwide is more generic, let's say, in the way they approach the customer. So I do see a win-win in such a scenario. And I fully agree with Maciej that an entrepreneur today need to find their layer, their position, the sweet spot where they could partner with a larger company in order to address customers together and to scale together.
And if I have you, my lady,
yes.
right now, I will ask you really the last question, and will ask the two other leaders to also comment quickly. One thing, I wish to hear one thing from you that you would never give up while scaling your business. Something which is a kind of a non-negotiable in your head, that you would never sacrifice to have a success in scaling your business, your company, or the model you operate in.
I think it connects with the purpose we started the discussion earlier on. For me, if I would use one word, is building that level of trust. Okay, level of trust in the mission, level of trust in the purpose, but also the level of trust in the delivery. Okay, so that your customers know what to expect from you. that you deliver consistently, you deliver on expectation, you deliver on the promise. That also connects with the trust you build in your team, because people are the ones who are making things happen. So for me, it's trust. If you don't have that, build that foundation of trust as a company, then there's no scaling up. Then it's ad hoc business projects, but not a real scale up opportunity.
Paulina, what's on your mind in this context? Something you would never give up, and you really stick to.
My values, to be fairly honest. So again, these are the times when the contexts are shifting. When the new values, I would say, come to hearing, and the values that were so important just months ago start to be less important, or following those values may put you in a kind of challenging situation. So I'm not changing that. This is who I am, and I could not imagine myself doing something which is totally against the values that I have.
So values as a backbone, right? You don't give up on. Trust, as stated by my lady, as a no compromise on, and the sense of purpose, which really, even if a bit changed might be, but is fundamental for internal and external environment. Maćku, and what is on your mind in this context? Something you would never give up.
So I even had to pull this up because I, wanted to get the words clearly. So kind of coming from our internal creed at Values, because we obviously have a mission, we have a vision, but we also kind of our own internal creed. Like they're like this three things that are happening. I'm a consultant in the end, so we always have everything coming to creed. But the thing is, let me just read it. So and I hope and it will be clear. So basically, we're a professional crew who own their life, do excellent client work on our own terms, and share the growth rewards fairly. And I do believe that these are like kind of the three fundamentals of what we believe at Valueship. So one, we are like professional, but we own our own life. In a sense, we have a life. So this is one thing. We do excellent client work, and this is not negotiable, but this is on our own terms. So we are kind of not your slave, even if
but own terms agreed with the customer at the beginning of the journey.
Correct. This is like all about setting the boundaries.
Right, yes.
Like
at least this is how we worked together.
Right, obviously. But I'm just saying that protecting your boundaries, I believe, is essential. And finally, this is about sharing the growth rewards. So we share rewards when there are rewards. So it kind of has to be growth. So I believe this kind of social aspect, because we are a partnership company. Like eventually you can become a partner and have ownership, kind of equity, or like just basically equity ownership in the company. So this is like, these are like the fundamentals, and I believe that this is something we won't give up here, hopefully. But you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain, right? So hopefully, but this is just basically the most important thing. These three aspects, I believe.
Thank you so much. And as we are coming to the end, I really wish to tell you it was such an important discussion for me. Guys, I really learned a lot from you, and I really mean it. You build on each other, which is super important whenever we conduct these sessions. And there were also the questions that I never thought I will ask you, but I did. Thank you so much for being honest. Thank you so much for sharing from the bottom of your heart and your journey. I love, Maciek, what you stated at the end, and I wish everyone who are listening to us in any part of the globe, own your own life. Wherever you are, whether you are a big player, a small player, whether you are a single, you've got a family, own your own life. Be yourself, stay true to yourself. And thank you so much. I really hope to continue. So please stay with me for a while before we finish. Justina, our amazing producer, will be closing shortly. As always, we will produce a podcast and publish broadly. Listen to us. And by the way, going back to what my lady said before, we will be continuing our sessions, educational sessions with our strategic legal partner, Gesell, on AI Acts. So stay tuned. In June, we will come again. Thank you so much for everything. And for those ones who are celebrating the Easter, I wish you a wonderful, peaceful Easter, owning your own life at this time. For the ones who don't celebrate, enjoy your great weekend. And thanks to each and every of you. You made my day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.